Well, today we're going to be tuning up the Hafco 12-inch bandsaw. This is the model we're looking at, the Hafco Woodmaster BP-305. It's about 9 years old. These have been superseded by the 310. It's just a 12-inch, 1 horsepower hobbyist style bandsaw, and we're going to give it a little bit of love and attention. Okay, we're working on the Bandsaw Tune Up and just investigating the lower wheel. Now, I run this bandsaw actually normally on this lower speed. This is technically meant to be the speed for non-ferrous metals, and the higher speed, which has a separate set of pulleys just over the back there, allows it to run much faster for timber use. I think I might try that out just because that's actually what the book says. I've loosened the blade here just to give me freedom here, and I'm noticing lately that noise, if you can pick that up. And that to me doesn't sound right, so I've been working out exactly what it is. If I loosen off the belt and get that out of the way, which is a little bit of an exercise to feed it through. In fact, I should run it off the top first to make it loose. You get the belt right out of the way. We're not hearing the noise there. There's definitely play in this shaft, and in fact, what I'm noticing is that's actually sitting loose there. Now there's a keyway there, and there is a grub screw over the back, so we'll tighten that up. But that I don't think is our whole problem, because I've got to hold this tight. I actually feel something in that idler wheel, or that belt tensioner actually. So that belt tensioner's got to come off. So there's a circlip there. We'll undo those. This circlip tool's been fantastic. I've had it for years. Don't overstretch the circlip. We'll put that in a safe place. And we'll take this off. Well, that comes off quite easily. Okay, it's a 601Z bearing. And what I need to do, in fact, I can feel, I'll run that bearing on my finger. That one's all right. Run that bearing on, oh yeah, definitely. I can feel that grinding. So there's something going on in that bearing. So that's the inner bearing. That's interesting. Okay, with the wheel off, we can see the drive pulley a lot better. Now, the grub screw sits here, and that looks like it's not full of gunk, so it's loose. So that confirms that issue. Let's see if we can get that all the way off. There it is there. And that drive screw, and there's the key. That key looks alright. Sitting in there fairly deeply, but that looks good. We don't think we've got excessive wear in there. So I think that's just straightforward. Let's just put that back on. Now it was sitting flush there basically. So we'll tighten this up. Need to reposition the key. And it's just long enough. If I can get that in there. Dog barking in the background. And tighten that up. Firm but not too tight. Okay. We haven't got that play, so that's good. It's a bit of motor noise. I don't think that feels like bearings in the motor, but that's good. Alright, that job's done. Okay, with the wheel off, let's see if they spin. We hear a slight noise, but there's no feeling of anything in there, so maybe it's just the inner covers. Yeah, that doesn't, I can't feel anything at all. There's no little bump, crackle, grind or anything in my finger, so that's a good result. I don't think I need to replace those bearings. Okay, just refitting the main wheel. Let's put the belt on the back. We'll put it on the small wheel first. Let's pop it over that, make it easy. Slide that on, and then one of two circlips goes on this one. And with our little circlip tool, we just mount that on there. Don't overstretch the circlip, just get it over the shaft. Push that into place nicely. Just make sure it's fully seated. That's the main circlip. Let's put this idler wheel back on. I'm actually going to turn it around, just in case there's an uneven pressure on it from uneven load on it that may have helped that bearing go. Until I get the replacement bearing and quickly put that in. So there we are, set up. Tighten up the belt tension with that funny little mechanism. Oh, wrong way. Just winding the handle, tightening up the belt tension, and I will check the manual to see exactly what belt tension I need to put on there. But that's firm. Actually sounds better. So I will replace that bearing, but that's actually running nicely. Just while we're here, I thought I'd point out the trunnion assembly, which is the weakest point on this whole bandsaw, and the lower blade guide assembly, which I don't think is a very good setup. They're very difficult to adjust, and I think there's better alternatives, so we'll have a think about what we do there. But yeah, the trunnion is just wobbly. Everything's wobbly. I've got it all tied down, locked down, because basically what I do is I set the table up absolutely square to the blade, and then that's it. No adjustment, no tilting the table. The trunnion's just poor. Okay, onto the top wheel now. Now the trick to taking this top wheel off is firstly to put the blade tension back up, which brings the bottom of the wheel above that lip, and we've got to uncover that, which that's pretty simple. We just lower the blade guide. So now the wheel can come out forward, and we just take it out using the little circlip tool. Being careful not to lose the circlip. It's coming out fairly easily, that's nice. Okay, those bearings in there. See if we have a clicking. Again, I think it's just something to do with the bearing cages, but nothing to do with the wheels, because that's very smooth. Let's try the other side. Yeah, very smooth. There's no grinding or anything. One thing I do notice on these wheels is we get a fair bit of this dust on here. There isn't a brush on the upper wheel. There's a brush on the lower wheel, and it seems to work quite well because the lower wheel is quite clean. So what I will do is clean this wheel before I put it back on. All right, let's put this upper wheel back on. You notice here's the pivot, the tracking tension, or the tracking adjustment coming through from the other side, and the blade tension mechanism. Now let's just put this back on. Hopefully that just goes straight back on. Indeed it does. And the circlip to retain it. Just being careful not to flick a circlip out into your eyes. I've actually got glasses on at the moment, so that's good. And that wheel's quite happy in there, quite smooth. Back at the bandsaw, we've replaced the bearings in the belt tension here for the drive belt. So it's just a matter of refitting that with the circlip. A very simple task. We'll just get these circlips set up on these pliers. And that's the wrong circlip, so let me get the other one. Okay, we'll get the circlip and just set that up on the pliers and place that on. And there we go. A little bit of belt tension. And we should be good. And I'm enjoying that already. Let's give that a little run. Can't run with that with it open. Actually we can if we press this switch here, so do not do this at home. Everything clear. Well, that sounds a lot better than previously. So that's a great result. That was an opportunity to crack out a new blade. This is welded woodpecker bandsaw blade, 13mm by 6 teeth per inch, general purpose blade, not for cutting tight circles, but basically a general purpose blade, pretty good for softwoods. Maybe a challenge with wet woods when I'm milling a small log down, but that's another story for another day. The last one of these I got out of the packet, which I did have kicking around here probably for 2 years, had a terrible kink in it, so we'll see how this one goes when we fit this one. Right here you see the thumb screw that I replaced with a bolt. This is a 6mm bolt. The thumb screw in here was ridiculously hard to get your hands in there to adjust, so this bolt is a much better approach, and you just get in there from the top rather than from underneath. Final thing to do is put a new zero clearance plate, and it was only $4, so I thought I'd better get one of those when I ordered the new blades. Let's see how that fits. I might tap that down with a block of wood. That'll fit better as we use it, but I'll just tap it in. That actually seems to fit much more flush than this one did. There was a step on this one, but that looks good. Alright, it's time for a quick test. I've got some decking board here. This is quite heavy. I'm not sure what timber this is. I don't think it's Merbau. It may be Merbau. That's common for decking here in Australia, but let's do a quick test. Give it the easy cut first. Very easy. Should give myself a line with a longer square than that. Just means I've got a neat piece of. Just means I've got a neat piece of timber to keep. That was real time. There's that earlier cut, which I think is quite lovely. So we should get some good results with this machine from now on, having given it a bit of a tune-up. Well, I said I might try this at a faster speed, so let's do this at the normal speed, blade speed they recommend for timber, as opposed to the slower speed for non-ferrous metals. So let's give this a go. That's a very smooth cut, very happy with that result. Well, I think that's a wrap for the tune-up of the Hafco 12-inch bandsaw. Thanks for watching. Well, something arrived in the mail today, and yes, we have bearings. These are the replacement bearings for the upper and lower wheels on the bandsaw. They're a 6203 standard size. Two RS, two rubber seals, and Look out for a separate video where I actually make a bearing puller using a coach bolt and some scraps to help me get the bearings out and ready for replacement. But that's it for the Bandsaw Tune Up, other than replacing these bearings.